Glory be to God, Mighty God Ministries. This is episode 7, I believe, and this is health and wellness. This is another meal that I use. It's a really good one. I talked about this in another episode, how I actually learned this from a restaurant. And again, it's not going to be as good as theirs because obviously that's a chef that's been doing his job for 20, 30, maybe 40, 50 years. So they're a pro. But again, it's a good meal. It's healthy for you. It's a meal that can be made pretty quickly and it's fairly simple. You really only need a pan. That's it, a pan. You need a knife, a cutting board, and a couple other ingredients, but there's nothing crazy about this meal. Again, you could do a steak, but it's any kind of steak you want. I've gotten cheap steaks and you cut them up. You could grill them outside on the grill, and it's a nice day, but I'm gonna cut the grass today, so I'm not gonna grill it outside. But that's another way you could do it, but I found you could pan fry it and it tastes just as good. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start out with our steak. Again, I already washed my hands, but I'm gonna get ready. I have my trash can open, and then we're gonna take our steak here, right here. We're gonna use a fork to get this off of the packaging. And again, look at that steak. Again, it doesn't have to be like this. It could be, any kind you want. It could be, a skinny steak. I've gotten like the little pieces when they're on sale. I've gotten those and they work fine. And then with this, you can cut the fat out if you don't want to. If I was grilling this, I would just leave this as is. But the way I'm gonna do this, I like it when I do it like this, I like it a certain way. So I'm actually gonna take the fat off. But again, the fat is what gives it the flavor. So you might wanna leave the fat on. And that's just a preference. And I've done that too where I grill it. But because I'm doing it in a pan, it just makes it a little bit easier to do it this way. So I'm gonna throw this piece away because I don't need it for now. Get rid of that. And then again, we're just cutting the steak up into chunks. And you could cook it whole, that's a preference again. But the way I do this, I like to actually chunk this up because then it mixes in. And again, I'm not a professional chef, so this is just what I would do. This is, again, how I lost a lot of my weight. But then salt, obviously, anytime you have steak, you want to salt and pepper. And it's a preference of how much you like. Everyone knows, if you've watched my videos, I like pepper. So I put a lot of pepper on this. But again, pretty simple. And this is only a couple ingredients. And that's a great thing about when you make your food. A lot of times we think we have to put like everything under the sun. And it doesn't take a lot, A lot of times the simplest, easiest food that's really good, delicious, it takes a couple ingredients. So again, salt and pepper, you don't have to use these, preference. But I like to use them. And then if I want to mix it up too, I'll put oregano, parsley, Italian seasoning, the whole 9 yards. But like I said, for this, I'm going to do this quick. And I'm going to actually use this as more of like a lunch instead of my dinner. Only because it's easier to do right now. But again, I'm just gonna cut these up into pieces. You could chunk them up however you wanna eat them, whether you like big pieces or small pieces. The other thing too is when you chunk these up, what's gonna happen is these are gonna cook quicker. So that's the other great thing about this is when you chunk these up, they're gonna cook quicker. And we're just putting those in the pan. Again, this is not rocket science, I'm not a professional chef. I'm just showing you how I make it. And there's probably people that they definitely know a lot more than I know, and they might say do it a different way, and they're probably correct, but I just know that this is what worked for me. It helped me out, and I like it, and it's delicious. So again, we're just cutting our steak up. And it's gonna all mix in together. So, and again, this takes a little bit of time, but the quicker you are, if you want like big chunky pieces, you can make them big chunky pieces. If you want to cut them up into little pieces, it's all preference, And if you want to grill it, you can grill it. I have some other ones that like if I grill a steak, I won't do it this way because I really like steak grilled, but I'm not grilling today. So we're gonna keep going. We're gonna cut this up. And essentially once it's cut up, we're gonna put that in the pan. I'm gonna show you the other things, but that way, if you don't wanna take the time to watch it through the whole process, because I know these videos can be long, you don't have to watch these. What you can do is you can just look at what we're doing, which again, it's very basic ingredients, healthy ingredients that are good for you and they taste good. And you could, if you wanna skip through the video, that's fine. I get it, everyone you have a certain amount of time. So basically we're gonna cut that up. And again, this is a big steak I picked out. I've done it with little tiny steaks. So you get the ones that are on sale. That's what I recommend. Get the ones that are on sale that maybe like they're not expired, but they're starting to go. And they mark them down. They got that little yellow sticker, the red sticker, and it says the new price on it. You know, those are some of the best steaks. People don't realize it, but you might get a discount on those. And those are some of the best steaks. You don't need, you know, a massive steak. This one, I don't even know if this was like 0.71 pounds or whatever it is. But what I'll do is I will take a picture of that, because again, it's important to get your calories, you know, because this might be 500 calories, it might be 600 or 7 or 8 even, depending on how big the steak was. I don't remember what this was, but I know it's in the trash. And I normally, if I was doing this, I take a picture ahead of time, but I'll go grab that thing real quick out of the trash when I'm done, and I'll count the calories up so I know what I have. And then I know what I can eat later. And again, certain days you might go over, that's okay. But that's a preference. So again, this does take a little bit of time because I'm cutting it up. You don't have to do that, but that's what I'm doing. And I'm using this knife just because I pulled it out. I have some bigger knives that, you know, sometimes if I'm doing like a ton of steaks, or I'm doing it like for, you know, the family, like my one daughter loves steak. So if I'm doing it like that, I may go ahead and I'll use the, you know, whatever you want to call it, the big chef knife, and I'll do that. But again, for what I'm doing, it's not going to make a huge difference. So I'm just going to do this. And again, these pieces have a ton of fat, which is not bad for you. But again, I'm just going quick. And since this is a decent sized steak, what's that say on there? 0.75 pounds. So that's a decent sized steak, you know, for one person. I'm just going to throw those in there. So then again, we got our steak in our pan, nothing crazy. The next thing we need is something to cook it in. And whether you like to do butter or olive oil, or again, a lot of this stuff is a preference of what you like to do. So what I do is I like to cook it in this butter, because this butter is a milk butter. At least that's what I call it. I don't know the actual term of it, but it's called Sorella Parma Valley butter. And it's like a milk-based butter. And I really enjoy it, and I like it. So what I do is I take, again, it's a tablespoon, and a tablespoon of this is like 110 calories. So again, but it's good, it's worth it. You know, if you're gonna do it, it's worth it. But you could use any type of butter. You could use olive oil. I've done it olive oil before. You know, it just depends on what you're looking at. And then again, what I do, I clean along the way. Make it easy for yourself. And then the next thing we're gonna do is I might put in a little bit of garlic, because again, I like garlic. But if you don't like garlic, you do not need to put it in. You can do this with no garlic and just plain. And that's sometimes how I do this. So I'm literally just gonna put like just a tiny bit of garlic in there. And you also have to watch out with garlic, because if you put it in the beginning like I just did, sometimes it'll burn, so you gotta watch it. You know, sometimes you might want to put it in toward the end. Same as the cheese. The cheese that I use is Gorgonzola cheese, and I love Gorgonzola cheese. It has a certain flavor to it, and some people will not like it. And that's okay, because everyone's different. But I love this. It doesn't come where it is. It's the Bella Giosa, or I don't know how to pronounce that, Gorgonzola cheese. And you know what's funny? I was thinking to myself, you know, I could really go for steak, and then I could show a video on how I do it. And again, there's nothing crazy to this. This is very basic stuff. But I thought to myself, I said, you know, I could really go for that, but I didn't have any Gorgonzola cheese. So I go and I get this thing in my mind. Again, I believe it's the Holy Spirit. And what happens? I go to Giant Eagle, where I get this, and you can get this from anywhere. It's normally like $5.99 or $6.99. It's on sale for $1. I said, thank you, God. Not only did I get the cheese I wanted, I go, it's on sale. I go, you give it to me $1 off. And again, this cheese right here, the serving size is 3 tablespoons, which is like a 1/4 cup, I believe, is what that calculates out to, give or take. So I'll take my little 1/4 cup there. If you want a little extra cheese, you can do more, you can do less. But again, very basic. And then all we're gonna do is we're gonna throw this over here. We're gonna light up our burner, and I'm gonna put this on medium heat. You can put all different things in there. So I have another form of this recipe that I'll make, and it's a little bit different than the way I'm doing it right now. And then, you know what's funny? I almost forgot it, the best thing, which is funny. Thank you, Holy Spirit, for reminding me, because I got so excited about the steak that I literally almost forgot the main ingredient. And then, like, I know what would happen. I would have still ate it, it would have been good, but it wouldn't have been as good as with this. These are those portobello mushrooms. And you could use any mushrooms. I'd use any type of mushrooms, they're good. But these are portobello mushrooms. These are what add that flavor. Again, I would normally cut them on the same cutting board. I know you're not supposed to do that, but that's normally what I would do. just because of time. But I'm gonna pull another cutting board out because I don't want to show people the wrong thing and then you get sick or something. But I would just cut them all on the same board. I'm gonna use a different knife. And I like portobello mushrooms, so I'm gonna pick 3 big ones. I'm gonna pick 3 of these big ones right here. They're chunks. And again, these are semi cheap. You can use them in different meals. So you can put them with your eggs if you like them. You could use them with steak. You can put them with chicken. I mean, anything. You can put these with anything. Again, wash them off because you're gonna see they're gonna have dirt or poop or whatever. Who knows what's on these? But again, you're gonna want to wash them off. If anything that you're gonna see the dirt come off. So we're gonna do that next. We're gonna get that going. Wash these off. Semi-decent. Again, don't have to be crazy about it. Again, thank you, Holy Spirit, for reminding me about that, because I would have been a little bit disappointed, because this is part of the main ingredient that you need. And I have a recipe, but I don't have it with me. So again, thank you, Holy Spirit. We're gonna eat good. And then right now, what we're gonna do is, again, this is nothing crazy. You cut them up however you want. So if you like big chunks of mushroom, cut them up big. If you like small chunks, cut them up small. As again, it's a preference of what you prefer. So you can see, I'm gonna cut them up decent size, but I like mushrooms. So. And a lot of this is the time you have. Again, you can pre-prep all this. If you want to put them in containers, I did that at one time. I would pre-prep it all, but the only, the negative to that is it's quick and easy, but then it's not as fresh. At least I think so. But I've done it. There's times where I have all the vegetables and stuff, and they're already pre-cut in Rubbermaid or Ziploc, whatever containers you have. Again, those are the size of my mushrooms, but it just depends on what you like. And I'm going to throw those right in here now. So I'm going to throw those in here now, because again, I don't know all the cooking terms on this or how it works. I'm not a chef, but I do know that when you throw them in there, I don't know if it's the water content on them or what it is, but when you do that, what happens is the water, they'll cook in that mushroom water juice or whatever you want to call it, and they'll turn out really good. So I'm cleaning up as I go, and then now we're ready to go ahead and cook this. So again, I'm just going to throw this on the stove right here. I'm going to put this on medium heat. Again, if you watch this and keep an eye on it, then you'll know when it's done and when it's good to go. But you keep an eye on it. If you need to cook it quicker or faster, you can do that. If you need to cook it, faster because you say, hey, I'm rushing, you can do that. Turn it up on high heat, and then you're gonna have to stand on top of it, keep an eye on it. And then we're gonna have my plate right here. Again, I like to pre-prep and get everything ready. I'll bring a fork out. I'm not gonna do mashed sweet potato or anything else with this, because again, this is actually I'm sort of eating this for like a late lunch. And then I might have something other for dinner or small, I'm not sure. But I'm gonna prep my food. So I'm gonna have my spoon, and you need this spoon. You wanna know why you need this spoon? Because when you get the juices and the cheese, you're gonna wanna sit here and go like this, and it's gonna be so good. So you gotta get those juices in there. You can't use just a fork to eat this steak. It'll pick the mushrooms up and all that, but you gotta get the juices and the cheese. So you need that. And then what's gonna happen is, I'm gonna try to cook this quick, which I gotta be careful, because when you try to do that, sometimes you mess up. And I'm gonna throw some seasoning on it. Again, I don't need a ton of seasoning. I'm gonna throw a little bit on there, just because I like some Italian seasoning. I'm gonna throw some oregano on there, a little parsley, a little Italian seasoning. I'm gonna throw a couple of things in there. And again, you could do olive oil. Olive oil is cool to do too. Sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't. It's all a preference on how I'm feeling. But this is a basic meal, and essentially there's really only three, four ingredients. So it's a piece of cake. So I'm gonna get my cheese ready. And I can hear this going. I can hear it going. The butter's melting. Obviously you want to get the butter to melt so it all cooks together in there. And again, I'm just moving this stuff around. This is nothing crazy. It's not, anything new. Depending on how you like your steak, if you like it well done, medium, you can look at the pieces and see them. The other thing you can do is, and I'm not sponsoring anybody because I don't get paid for any of these, but if you want a thermopen, this is one of the coolest thermometers. This bad boy pulls open like that, and you can get these cheap, and you stick that in and it'll tell you the temperature. I use these when I'm grilling, but like this, I can see it because it's cut up, so I don't have to do that. I'll just watch it and I'll know when it's done and when I like it. So again, I'm gonna get myself ready. I'm gonna need my water, because you gotta have water with your meal, because water helps hydrate you. A lot of times when you think you're hungry, you're not hydrated. And so you definitely want to drink water with every meal and before and after your meals. And then again, this is going to start cooking up. I'm not, doing anything crazy. I'm just moving it around. And you can see my butter, that milk butter flavor is melting in there. And the pieces are still pretty red. I like a little red in my steak. I don't want it like mooing, rare, like right off the cow, but I want a little bit of red in it. And then the next thing I'm going to do is you can take a knife or a butter knife, and I'm going to prep my cheese here. So I'm going to just go around the container right here, prep my cheese just so I can get it open and ready. Because the first time I did this, I messed up, and again, when you're doing stuff, you're going to mess up. So again, I'm just going to take 1/4, which is like that much, but you could pick whatever you like. If there's a day where I want more, I'll throw more in there. But this is a good amount. But the first time I did it, I messed up. And how I messed up, and this is how you learn. That's why I said, don't believe that failure is not an option and all that stuff, because that's a bunch of trash. You learn by making mistakes, And what I learned is the first time I did it, I'm not paying attention, and I put the cheese in at the beginning. Well, what happens? You don't want to put the cheese in at the beginning, because if your steak and other stuff doesn't cook up, then what happens is, you got the cheese, you burn the cheese. So I learned a lesson there. Don't put the cheese in at the beginning. You want to wait until the steak's almost done. And when the steak's almost done to how you like it, then you put the cheese in and it'll melt up. And it is so good. Like my mouth is actually like salivating right now thinking about this. Because again, I love food. Like I said, if you would have seen me before, and I could lose weight and gain weight, I was 300 pounds. So I like to eat. But this is a healthy meal. This is a good meal, and it's going to taste great. And like I said, you look up this cheese, you'll get protein in here. You get protein in the steak. The mushrooms are good for you. You can do a whole nother plate with vegetables or sweet potatoes or those purple sweet potatoes. There's a store called the Grocery Outlet, I forget what it's, Grocery Outlet or Bargain Outlet. They would have these purple sweet potatoes. And they're like different than anything I ever had before, but I got those and they were awesome. In the same store I went to yesterday, and it's crazy how like, if you've never had something and you try it out, you're like, whoa, that is, delicious. And you don't know, because there's so many different things, whether it's from other countries or maybe like, I've had coconut water, and I like coconut water. I don't like coconut in my teeth though, so I try to stay away from coconut just because I don't like to get stuck in my teeth, but I do like coconut water and all that. And what's funny is I go there yesterday, they have these coconuts, and they're $2.99, I don't know what coconut costs, but I'm like a little kid. I'm like sitting there and I'm like shaking it, and I could hear the water coming out of it, and I'm like shaking it again. I'm going out in the parking lot. That's what God's so good. Like, again, it's the little things in life. And I'm like a little kid. I'm like sitting there like this. I'm like, that is the coolest sound it makes. And I've never did one. So I'm like excited, even though I don't know what this is going to turn out like or how this works. The guy was at the store. I asked him, and he told me how to do it. But I was like, what, drill a hole, put my little straw in this bad boy? But I was like, that's cool. And again, it's the small things like that, it doesn't cost you much. But it's something, if you haven't done it before, it's cool. And so my steak now is pretty much good. I still got a little bit of red in there. And again, I like it a little bit more red. So I'm going to turn this on low now. Because if you could see all the juices in there, and I don't want to spill it, but if you could see that, all the juices are mixing together. And that's pretty much red as far as like, it's got that medium temp, but it's not too done. Because I don't like mine well done. You can do that. So I'm going to throw the cheese in there. And you're going to see, again, this cheese is awesome. This is that Gorgonzola cheese. And I know everyone's different, so you might not like it, but you can see now here again, what do? We threw the cheese on top, and that's just going to mix in, and it's going to melt, and it's going to be delicious. And you can do this on low or medium. Again, that cheese is going to melt up, and when that cheese melts up, you just keep mixing it. It's going to go in the juices we put in there, and it's that milk butter. And then the steak and the portobello mushrooms, and ooh, is it gonna be so delicious. And I'm gonna turn this up on medium heat, but again, you gotta watch out, because you don't wanna overcook your stuff. And my steak's a little bit, I like it a little bit more rare, but that's okay. I'm just gonna go with what I got. And again, I'm gonna let that butter melt. It's gonna be so delicious. And you can see it's melting, and I can smell it. I can tell it's good because I can smell it right now. And I'm going to leave a couple chunks in there. So I'm not going to let all the cheese melt, because I want to have a couple chunks of that cheese. And right now we are done. So if you could look at that right now, you could see all that cheese melted in there. And that is this right here, like this liquid. Ooh, that's going to be so good. That's why you need that spoon. And then again, very easy. I'm just going to dump this right here, dump that right there, and we are ready to rock. I mean, this is going to be delicious. I'm going to hit my protein, a lot of my protein numbers for today. I didn't have eggs today. I did a cereal. The cereal's good. And my cereal is not regular cereal. It's, again, that's cereal that is, doing, fat-free milk. Again, you can do regular milk and a couple other things, strawberries, blueberries. I love them. And we are done. We are done. Again, I cleaned up along the way, and we are good to go. And if you could see the mixture, ooh, like look at that. Look how good that's gonna be. And you take this mushroom right here, and you take the steak, and you put that in that juice right there. Okay. I'm gonna be honest. If God said I'm taking you tomorrow, or if he took me tomorrow, this might be my last meal. This literally might be it. Like, I would be okay with that because it is so delicious. And I know, I'm sure you're not supposed to eat on camera, but I don't care. I'm doing it. The mushrooms and then the cheese flavor that melts in your mouth. Oh, it is so good. And I'm gonna say this, hopefully I'm not, again, I don't want it to offend anybody, but Nicolini's restaurant, it used to be in Boardman. They have one in Austintown, and I think they have something in Canfield now, but I haven't been out there. And they may have the same thing, but that's where I got it. And you could eat anything off their menu. It's Italian food. It is delicious. I haven't been there for a while, but I used to go for my birthday. Every birthday, I would either go there or another place. And this is one of the things that I would get. And again, I'm sure theirs is still better because they're a chef and they've been doing it all their life. But thank you. This is delicious. It is awesome. Again, this channel is to glorify God. So the shirt I'm wearing is love is compassionate, love is kind, Corinthians, and that is God, and he loves you. Again, I'm gonna tell you this right now because this channel is to glorify God and to show you how he helped me with my weight loss. And that was through praying. That was through prayer. I could easily gain weight and lose weight, but I could not keep it off. The power of prayer works. Don't believe in all these YouTube scams and all these different videos out there that tells you how to do it. That's, there some of them are true and there's good values in them, like counting your calories and all that. But part of it's prayer. It is prayer. That's what changes things. Prayer, he will break the chains. He will break those gluttony changes that you have. And I know because I had them all my life. 42 years I had them. And he's changed me. Like I said, there's people that see me walking. They don't even say anything because they don't know who I am. I look like a different creation, and I am. Because God created me a new creation. That is what he does. And he can do it for you. But you have to remember, I'm going to glorify his name, and you have to call out to him. So if you're not saved, again, the most important thing is that he loves you. He loved me at 300 pounds or 296, and he loves me now at 160, 170, 150 if I'm fluctuating. It just depends. He loves me the same, and he sees you the way you are. And it doesn't matter. He is love. Love, compassion, kindness, slow to anger. I cannot stress this enough. If you are not saved or you're on the fence, click the description, read that salvation prayer. It is the best thing you will ever do in your life. I promise you, you will start a relationship, you start growing that relationship, and you'll still have trials and tribulations, problems, okay? But you will have a peace and love like no other. Like, I can't describe the peace. And you know what? I'm gonna do videos down the road. I'm going through some things right now, okay? I'm going through some trials and tribulations, but guess what? I could care less. And if it was 4 years ago, I can tell you this, I'd be like having a panic attack. I'd be, wondering what's gonna happen. But I'm not concerned at all. I am not concerned because I have the peace of God, And only he can give you that peace. He's the Prince of Peace for a reason. Only he can give you that Prince of Peace. The peace that fills you up with love and kindness and compassion. So again, this is a great meal. It's super delicious. I'm gonna scarf this down. But again, it's a meal that doesn't take real long. You have 3-4 ingredients. You got some seasoning, salt, pepper, steak, any kind of steak. Again, you put this, any cheap steak, Philly cheesesteak, strip steak, whatever you put this in, you put that cheese on it, it's gonna be delicious. And that butter, and you can use regular butter too. So I'm gonna end this video, again, just another quick meal. I don't know what the calorie countdown on this, it might be anywhere from 500 to 600 depending on your steak, but the Gorgonzola cheese, I can tell you it's only like 100 calories or less. The butter adds up to 110, but it's that good because you're getting protein from that butter. It might be 5 or 9 grams of protein. So again, this is probably, not even 600-700 calories. You add a sweet potato for another 100 calories, and you got a fulfilling meal that's gonna fill you up. So again, God bless you. Have a good day.